tips on what to do and what not to do when drinking wine. So let's start talking about collecting your wine. So you want to collect your wine, you want to store your wine in a place that is cold, not warm. Many people keep the wine in their kitchen where naturally it's going to be warm, and some people even worse, they keep the wine in some wooden cellars that are placed just above your oven. That is killing your wine. Stop doing that, because all the heat from your cookings is going straight up to your wine, and you are basically killing the wine. The other thing, keep in mind that you want to collect your wine away from sunlight. That is the reason why red wine is bottled in dark bottles, which are usually black or green dark bottles. Tip number 2, wine temperature. So everybody knows that white wine should be drunk cold and red wine at room temperature. Let's talk about that. How to cool your white wine. So you can keep the wine in the fridge or in your freezer for 5-10 minutes in case of the freezer. And if you need to cool down even more the wine, you can always use a bucket of ice and water, and you put the wine bottle inside of the water. That is really quickly for cooling down the wine. So how you notice that the wine has been colder, it is cooler than it should? Well, when you pour your wine, your white wine, in your wine glass, if you start noticing that the wine is condensing around the wine glass, that is the indicator that the wine is really, really cold and is cooler than it should. If you drink the wine that cold, you won't be feeling all of the wine flavors, you won't notice the aromas, and you won't really enjoy the wine. So if you see that, it's because the wine has gone lower, cooler than it should. Red wines should be drunk at room temperature. Okay, but where is that room? In Arizona or in Alaska? So you should drink red wines between 60 and 68 Fahrenheit, and most of the room temperatures are around 72. So a good idea is putting your red wine into your fridge for 30 minutes before drinking the wine, and that is how you easily can get a good amount of temperature for your red wine. The other thing that you could do is using your bucket full with water and ice, and you can put the bottle and take it out as many times as you feel you need it. But definitely you don't want to drink your red wines warm. Number 3, holding your glass of wine. Your glass of wine has 3 parts: the base, the stem, and the bowl. This is something that many people disagree. The rule is that you should never hold your glass of wine by the bowl, because basically you are warming your wine. And that is true, that is correct. But there is one exception. If your red wine is too cold, you may hold your glass of wine by the bowl because you want to increase that temperature. So this is like a rule that you should know, and you should know when to break it, because you want to know how to properly hold your glass of wine, and it is okay to hold it if you need it. What I'm trying to say is that you want to keep it simple. You don't want to be those wine connoisseurs, fancy, that are shaking the wine all the way down, without even stopping one moment, because they want to let the wine breathe. I mean, that it's okay, but you don't need to keep that motion all time long. And you also don't want to be rude, like holding your glass of wine like it is a glass of beer, which is usually bigger, stronger. So you want to hold your glass of wine like something delicate. But it is common sense that if your red wine is cold, you need to warm it just a little bit, and that is okay. At least that is my advice. That is what I do. Tip number 4: let's speak the truth about screw caps, corks, Tetra Paks for wine, bagging box, and wine cans. So many people in the past, screw caps for wines used to be something like cheap. Bad wine was produced with screw caps. That isn't at all anymore. Actually, most of the Australian fine wines are bottled using screw caps. And the reason for this is that the wineries bottle the wine when the wine is excellent and is ready to go and to drink. So in the past, people used to buy wine bottles and they used to collect them in the house, and you used to wait for years before opening a bottle. That isn't anymore, and wineries know about it. So buying a wine with a screw cap is actually fine, and it doesn't mean that the wine is cheap. Corks. There are basically 3 different types of corks. Natural cork, that is produced with the cork tree. Those are the most expensive, especially because the cork around the world the production is getting to an end. Every day there are more wineries who wants to have natural cork, and the trees won't reproduce very easily. So natural corks are okay, but you should know that it isn't the most environmental friendly option. You also have other type of corks that are little chips of natural cork all glued together. And the third option are synthetic corks. All of them are good. It doesn't mean that the wine that you are about to drink, if the cork is plastic, that means that is bad. Actually, when you create a synthetic cork, you can control more easily that the cork doesn't include any bacteria that can damage your wine. So don't think about plastic or synthetic cork like a bad quality wine. Wine boxes or wine box or Tetra Paks, those are usually the way that cheap wine or entry-level wine is bottled. It's like a milk box, but for wine. So that is the cheapest option for entry-level wine. You have here another option, which is something new that is called bagging box, and it's actually a bag inside a box with a hose, and this is for high quality wine. And the reason for this is because you can easily pour just the amount of wine that you will be drinking. The bag always keeps the vacuum seal wine, so you don't have air when you pour the wine. The bag will be shrink, so you don't have air. And this is excellent because you can have an excellent wine for longer days. If you open a wine bottle, you know that the wine will be bad after maybe a week. That doesn't happen with bagging box, so it is an excellent option. And the last thing that is really new are wine cans, like soda cans. That is, I think this is amazing because you have the right amount of wine that you want to drink, like a glass or a big glass of wine, and it's very easy to transport, and you won't have any leftover that will spoil. This is really a good option if you're drinking alone or just 2 persons and you don't want to open just a bottle. Tip number 6 is let your red wine breathe before drinking it. So simple, very simple. Open your wine bottle 30 minutes before drinking the wine. That is very easy to do. If you have more full body wines, you may want to use a decanter. A decanter is a container, very wide on the bottom, and then you have the neck. The idea of using a decanter is for decant wines, wines that hasn't been filtered. 99% of the wines are not like that. So why to use a decanter? Because when you are using a decanter, you are also letting the wine breathe, because you will have a bigger space on the base, and all the wine will be more wine surface will be in contact with the air. What about if you don't have a decanter? Well, you can always use a jar made of glass. You can pour your wine inside your jar and wait for 10-15 minutes. You can taste the wine, and you can even put that wine again in the bottle, and that is very easily solve that problem. Last tip is get ready for your wine. If you really want to learn every time that you drink wine a little more, get ready. Try to drink in a quiet place. It doesn't have to be like nobody in the room, but you want to be in a quiet room. You want to have a good lighting in the area, in the room, and you want to pay attention to the wine. Try to feel, try to sense the aromas, the feeling of the wine in your mouth, and that is how you, every time that you drink wine, you will get better at it. So those were my 7 tips on what to do and what not to do when drinking wine. I like to keep it simple, keep it straight, and enjoy your wine.